Why hello there internet, my name is Jags, and today I'm going to show you how to recreate a logo in After Effects for some logo animation. So let's go into the computer machine and do that. Alright, before we get started, I do want to mention that we are going to be using some plugins for this tutorial. It will dramatically save you some time if you pick them up. I am not sponsored by them, but those two plugins are Overlord for Illustrator and After Effects, and then the other one is Explode Shape Layers. You can find the links to those down below, along with a video that includes my workflow on how I would do this if I did not use any plugins. So, with that out of the way, let's go into Illustrator and After Effects and do some logo animation. To start, we have a artboard, composition, whatever you want to call it, in Illustrator here. It is the logo I am working with for a game called Geek Out Family by Ultra Pro Entertainment, and before I do anything, I make sure that I isolate the logo in a 4K composition. Generally speaking, for physical products, their artboards are really small for some reason, so I will just scale it up into a 4K composition or artboard. The resolution on that will be 3840 by 2160. And now I have the logo here, and then I have the sub logo here. Right, let's just undo that. Now, normally, if I were to do this with no plugins, I would have to go into my layers. Where's my layers? Go away, Illustrator. And I would have to take all of these groups and isolate them out into individual parts. But this is where the Overlord plugin comes in. So all I have to do is select the logo, and then I have to have an After Effects composition open that is where the stuff will go, and it will just drop it into this. So I have this composition in After Effects called Logo Holder Geek Out Family. Let's go back to Illustrator, and here's the plugin. Go away, Discord. And then just hit the send to After Effects, and hey, it's there. And we have these three layers just like we did in Illustrator. We see these groups. It just took the groups and combined it into layers in After Effects. So now what I have to do is go through these contents and really just figure out what is what's going on. Give me 1 second. So I just had to disable the notification so you didn't see all my spam stuff. But anyways, we are in After Effects. We have our three shape layers. Now the next step is I noticed that the colors are not accurate. For some reason, Illustrator and After Effects do this, so you kind of just have to go in and start futzing with things. So I'll just drag this over here and put the Illustrator logo there. Hold spacebar down to get the hand and just navigate through. We can just close that out. We are done with that for now, and we can see that this first layer, layer 3, is the out. So we'll just call this out. And then we'll go in and we're going to figure out what is what. Okay, so it looks like this group 1, if I just go into my layer contents, I can see that it's the TM right there. So I can just call this TM, and then what is this? Now, however the Illustrator built this file, I will have to work with this a little differently. So what is this group? Okay, so looks like this group 2 is the white stroke on the outside of that. Now, I actually don't think I will need that, so I can just delete that, because I know what I could do for this is I could just add my own stroke. The biggest problem right here is that the color of the fill is not accurate to the logo, so let's working in a 1920 by 1080 desktop is a little small. Normally I have a big monitor. Let's just set the saturation to 0, the hue to that, but there's no saturation, so it doesn't matter. Set this to like 5%. The B stands for brightness, and yeah, that's getting better. Maybe we'll set this to 3%. Yeah, that works. Now I could go in and add a stroke by hitting the stroke button, and then I realized there is no stroke there. So I could hypothetically add a stroke to this, but we're going to hold off on that for now. If you want to know how to do that, you could just add stroke, and hey, there's a stroke there. And now it's on the outside of everything. But we have to do that for each individual's part. So let's just undo that really quick. Now, I want to take this TM, I want to bring it out, and I want to bring all these groups for the letters out. So we can see this is the exclamation point, so we can just select that, hit enter, and then type exclamation point. Then we go here, and this is probably the T. Yep, Illustrator likes to put things backwards, so this will be the T, and then this will be the U, and this will be the O. And then we can take all of these and bring these out of the subgroup by just selecting them all, dragging them above the group. And then what we can do is with the content selected, with that layer selected, let's save early and save often. And we'll use the second plugin. Now, if you're not using these plugins, check out that other video I made. You will have to break all this stuff into layers in Illustrator first, but with this very convenient plugin called Explode Shape Layers, it will explode them, so then you can very easily get a bunch of layers out of just the one. So we can just delete the old one now. If you want to work non-destructively, you could also hide it, but now we have the O, and if we poke that I out, make sure the solo is off, and then we can see that if we just poke some eyes out, we got the O, the out separated. Now let's do the same thing with the geek. So we'll go in, which one is this? What is this? What is this? This must be just like some extra layer that I just didn't need. So we can just get rid of that. That's the geek. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in, we'll see group, and it looks like the group 1 is all the white, and the group 2 is all the black, the drop shadow. Now there's an effect that we can do to mimic that, so we actually could just delete that group 2. We'll keep that for now just in case, just so we can kind of see where the look is. So we'll go in, this group 1 on the white text. And then we'll just go in and start naming these. So this is K, and this is, because it's going to go backwards, we'll call this E2. We'll call this one E1, and then we'll call this G. All right, we'll take all this out. Now I just named this master group the white text just to for you guys to let you know what we're working with, but that's just going to get deleted when we actually explode the shape layers. So we'll just select that layer 2, explode shape layers, and hey, now we have the geek out, and if we poke out the eye out on the G, that's there. Now the reason why the black text is there, or the gray text, is because one of these other layers has it. It looks like it's this group 2 right here. So we can just ignore that for now. What we can do is we can take these hidden layers, the ones with the eyes poked out, and just drag them below, boop, and then hit the little shy button right here. And we can see I was doing some other stuff. So you can shy that, and hey, now let's see what this is. This is geek out. Oh, aha, this must be the circle. So we can just call this circle. And if we poke that out, the circle's back there. All right, so let's take a look at the logo that we had to work with in Illustrator again. So we have the drop shadow on the G here, so we have to add an effect to that. And then same with the O, or the out, there's that stroke around the letters. So first off, let's go into the geek text. And what I like to do is color coordinate all the parts of the logo. So you can click on this little colored square and it will change the layer color. And then what I'm going to do is I want to reverse the order. So a fun tip is you can control cut and then go to the very top layer and then control alt V. And if you select it from the bottom up, it will reverse the order. So same thing again, I want this O and the trademark, so I'll select the O first and then control X, and then wherever I want it, I select the layer just below that and then control alt V. And now the OUT is in the order I want. I'll take this section and I will label this like, I guess, red? Sure, why not? And then the white text, that was a thing that we kind of just could hide. We don't need that anymore, so just boop, that goes away. And then we have the circle. So let's start with the drop shadow on the G. So we'll go to our effects and presets and we'll type drop shadow. Boop. And then we'll set this to 100%, and the reason why we're doing that is if we go back to the reference, we can see that it's not opaque at all. And it looks like there's actually a second drop shadow under that, a very, very faint glow behind that, so we can add that with a second drop shadow. But first, let's start with the main one, so we can see if we extend that out. It's, yeah, we're getting there, and then we can just change the direction, change the angle, and just kind of get close, pretty close, as close as you can. That looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more this way, and then yeah, like 25. See, maybe 20. Let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty close. Maybe a little bit less. So minimize that. And maybe the distance will be like 17.5. I like my even numbers, so 17.5, 5, 10, etc. Increments of 2.5 makes me feel happy and good inside. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this drop shadow and we're going to copy it onto all the other layers. Control C on that first one, and then Control V, and hey, we got the drop shadow on the geek text. Now it looks like it might be a little bit further on the K versus what we have here, so we can just go in and scooch that out just a hair. And yeah, so there's that. And then we'll add a second drop shadow, so we can just select the G on that and then duplicate it. And then I know that it's probably going to be a little bit further, and the softness of it is going to be like super soft. Set the distance to like 2, and then maybe set the opacity to like 50%. Maybe even then that's still a little much. Bring that down so it's like incredibly subtle, because on the actual logo from Illustrator, so there's that very slight drop shadow there, and then if we zoom in here, very faintly it's there. So that's pretty good. That gets the job done for me. And then we'll go in and we'll go into the out, and then we need to make sure we add a stroke. Now, we could do this one of two ways. We could either take the out section and then right click and click on layer styles and then stroke, and that'll add a stroke around it. Or we could actually go into each individual shape layer and then click on add and then add a stroke. Hey, there's a stroke. Now I know it's a little bit wider, so to speak, from the logo. So what is that? Is there a way to check that in Illustrator? Probably, but we're just gonna eyeball it for now. So maybe set that to 4, 5, and then we can just copy that stroke and paste it onto the others and put it on the exclamation point as well. Control C, Control V, and then what else? What else do we got to do? We got the TM there. That does not have a stroke, but it does have a little bit of a drop shadow. So we can just go in and add another drop shadow and then set the opacity to like 30% and then bring up the softness and just take a look at that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, just super subtle, like 20%, and then Control C on that, and then Control V. And then take a look at that. And now let's take a look at what we have originally. Looks like we need a drop shadow on the circle back there. So we can just go in. We can just take the drop shadow that we made for the out section and then just drop that onto that. And we'll actually bring up the softness quite a lot. Maybe bring up the darkness just a hair. Too much. And then, let's see, we are getting pretty close. So what's next? This circle here, we might need to futz with the gradient just a little bit because it is very bright compared to what we have on the logo. So when we brought it in, it made a gradient and it looks like it brought it in as a linear gradient. Let's go back in here and just take a look. What is happening? Window, workspace. Let's go to web. Okay. Yeah, it looks like that's a linear gradient there. Maximize that. Edit gradient. Okay, so that's going from there to there. Okay. I might just want to go in After Effects and hit UU on my keyboard with the circle selected, and that will reveal every single adjusted property on that layer. And then we can go to Edit Gradient, and we can just like, or change the position of it. Control-Shift-H will reveal my guides. Okay, so that's where the gradient is, and it matched actually pretty well, but it just feels a little light, more exposed than the original sample. It's just not as dark, so we can just go in and maybe just go to this center color chip and then just bring down the brightness. Oh, undo that, cancel. And then with hue selected, we just bring down the brightness. Oh, that's the wrong side. Cancel. Select the middle one, bring down the brightness. Okay, a little too much. And then we'll go back. Okay, we're getting there. And we'll do the same thing for the outer chips as well. So go back to After Effects, Edit Gradient. This one, maybe just bring it down by like 10%. And then, so that was what, 65. And this should also be 65. Okay, and then this middle one, yeah, we're getting pretty close. Maybe go to that middle one more time, set that to 50% directly in the middle, and then we'll maybe scooch it down, maybe increase the saturation just a hair. Now, I'm colorblind, so this will be a stage that you might have to spend a little bit more time on. I know I will, and I don't want to waste your time with that. But overall, if I hit Control-A on my keyboard and hit U, we have a logo that we took from Illustrator and brought it into After Effects and effectively recreated it. So at this point, I will spend more time to fine-tune it and make it feel better. I can obviously see that there's a little issue right here with the exclamation point being under the drop shadow on the K, and if I go back, oh, you know what? It's actually right above that. So I can just bring this and bring it above the K if I want to. And yeah, if I hit my little 50% drop down here and then bring out, we have the logo, and we zoom out here and just take a peek. Maybe putting this on a white background, so I Control Y, and we'll set this to a pure white background just to get a compare and contrast. Yeah, it looks like we need to bring out the drop shadow on the geek just a little bit more. Oh, and that reminds me, we didn't bring that to the boop. So select all the drop shadows on the G, Control C, and then boop, boop, Control V, and now it should be on everything. Maybe go to the K, bring up that softness, and yeah, we're getting pretty close. So that's how you would recreate a logo in After Effects. I still need to futz with this a little bit more, but this is basically the same techniques that I would use for any other logo. So I hope you learned something here with this more long tutorial that I felt like doing on a whim. I hope this was useful. If it was, let me know in the comment section down below. If you have questions, comments, concerns, comment section is down there for that as well. Or if you want, you can hit me up on Instagram at JohnJagsNee. I'll send you a video message if you have any questions on how to do any of this. If this was helpful to you and you want to tell me that this was useful to your life, then hit that like button. It lets me know that I'm creating content that is valuable to you. And if you want to join the party, hit that subscribe button. I'll try and come out with more tutorials like this or whatever you want if you have suggestions or comments or questions. And I will leave it there. Last thing before I let you go, eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and you will make some gains. Okay, goodbye my friends, and I will see you at some point in the near future. Bye.